So bottom line is this. CM Punk has to go. And I posted something on the community tab and I had a good back and forth conversation with a couple of you guys, and we're talking about things of who's wrong, what should happen as far as CM Punk and the backstage altercation he had with Jack Perry. And at first, when I was looking at it, I was like, it's looking like Jack Perry was the one that went up and instigated things. Like, that ain't cool. He knows what he said during his match with Hook was done tongue in cheek, but intentional, to know that it was going to piss CM Punk off. And by the way, if you don't follow wrestling or don't understand wrestling, I'm not going to explain every nuance of this story. I'm making this for people who get the gist of what's going on. So, don't expect me to explain a whole biography of the company here for you. But I'm frustrated as a fan for a number of reasons here, because I know that Tony Khan has a hard-on for this guy. Like, he worships the ground he walks on. He lets CM Punk does what he wants, because he was one of the top sought-after guys that Tony Khan wanted to come into the company. And the only thing I could say is that Tony needs to realize that the company was built without CM Punk. It survived when he got suspended after Brawl Out last year, and it put most of the 80,000 fans in the seat at Wembley Stadium without even knowing if CM Punk was even going to be on the card. So I just don't understand what the fear is. Like, I guess Tony Khan fears that, if I fire him, he could go back and be on the next WrestleMania fighting Cody Rhodes or something like that. And you see two big AEW stars go into the enemy. Or that he's going to spill the beans about everything in the company and make the company look totally Bush League. Well, I hate to break it to you, Tony, but the company does look Bush League on a lot of levels, and you're the fault. You're the guy that didn't nip things in the bud. You're the guy that has these clique of wrestlers in the back called VPs. Like, why would you give a clique of wrestlers the EVP status when you know that anyone is going to want to kiss up ass to them, or either fake kiss up ass to them, and just create this whole political structure of, don't get these guys upset? Now, I know it doesn't matter whether someone has that status or not, because I'm sure, if you weren't tight with Shawn Michaels in the mid to early late 90s, Vince McMahon, he could get in Vince McMahon's ear and you not get your push as well as you want it. But this whole EVP status for the Young Bucks and Kenny and Cody when he was there, it's a locker room divider. It's a locker room divider. And again, people would have to create this falseness of, even if you don't agree with the Bucks, you better look like you do. And I'm not someone who hates the Bucks. I'm not someone who overly likes the Bucks or any of the EVPs, Kenny Omega, Cody when he was there, etc. Hangman Page. I know he's not an EVP, but he technically is. It is just such a shit show, and Tony Khan has no one to blame but himself for this. And I was saying with someone last night when we were talking about this, he is no disciplinarian. He's the guy who just has such an odd physical presence about him. He's so overly positive, and there is a room for positivity in anything, but at times you have to be a hard ass. And do you think Tony Khan can be a hard ass? Do you think he'd be a believable hard ass? Guy who's a $120 wet with a brick in his pocket? Anyway, it's just a shame, because I am so into this wrestling product, but this bullshit behind the scenes is nauseating. And the fact that CM Punk gets to keep coming back, and when stuff is dished out on him, he can't take it. And it's not just in AEW. You can go back, even in his run in WWE, isn't he the one for making the tongue-in-cheek comments, the inflammatory comments to people? Isn't he the one when he was in the stands and there's a promo being cut on him from in the ring and a fan like rudely shoved him from behind in the head? He turns around, shoves some guy back that had nothing to do with it. Just overreaction. Ugh, just violently shoves some guy back. Like, stuff like that speaks volumes about him. Don't get to the root of things. Immediately go to aggression. Immediately. Were you the guy that pushed me from behind? No, it was him behind me. You can't take 5 seconds to do that? Jack Perry gets in his face after his match with Hook on Sunday. Immediately, you got to go to physicality. You can't just be like, look, this ain't the time or place for this. This is the biggest show in the company's history. So let's just go right into the violence. Jack, come here. Step aside. Okay, Jack, yeah, I did hear what you said. Let's just step aside. We'll talk privately. We don't need to go to a physical confrontation in front of everyone. This guy is such a hothead. And that's like the one thing I can't stand about him. And it's not that I don't respect someone sticking up for themselves. I have nothing but respect for that. But this guy has no middle ground. This guy has no calming element to him. He's fly off the hook when he feels disrespected. He wants to disrespect others. He wants to come back in his debut on Collision when the waters had to be so cool to even get him back into the company. And right off the bat, he's making a comment like the counterfeit buck remarks. The counterfeit bucks remark. Like, you think that didn't go over well with everyone? Of course it didn't. But immediately, someone getting in the back, like, getting right in his face, shoving him, getting him in a headlock. He can dish it out, but he can't take it. He talks about everyone being such thin-skinned bitch. Bitch, you are the thinnest-skinned bitch in the locker room, CM Punk. Just go away. Just go to wherever. And to the fans of him, why would you want him back? How could any fan of his or AEW want him back? Because how could you have any sort of vested interest in any storyline, any title run, anything, knowing that he's just going to do something to fly off the rim and get suspended? Like, what am I supposed to kid myself? And the promos that are going to be cut against him are going to be so antiseptic, so whitewashed. Don't want to say anything that potentially offends this guy. Don't want to say anything that's too down to earth or too truthful. Like, I guarantee you, everything that MJF said to him in that promo about ending him faster than his UFC career and stuff like that, trust me, all of that was run by CM Punk ahead of time. There's no way that shit, knowing how he flies off the hook with just saying real glass, cry me a river. Please, MJF's career is as tenured in the business as Jack Perry's is. Maybe slightly different, but still. Man, this guy has just gotta go. And I just don't understand just like the well, I mean, I do. It's tribalism. The utter loyalty to this guy and just actually wanting him to be a part of your product. Go to WWE. Let them be there. Let him be their problem. Go. Main event WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes. Go. Get going. That's why it's like what's the point? What's the point in having him in the company anymore? You're gonna get whitewashed rivalries. Can't say anything too down to earth unless it's pre-approved by him. Like, he talks about being so great of a company where you don't have to have a script and but please, everything has to be scripted against you. You can't say anything too down to earth as CM Punk. That's the same as having a script review in WWE. You can't say certain things in WWE. You can't say certain things to CM Punk, but he can say certain things against you. He can dish it out, but he can't take it unless he gets physical about it. And please, it's not like, oh, Archie, what are you, a bitch, man? You can't just take men getting physical with each other, airing their grievances. They do that in hockey all the time. There's fights on NFL fields and whatnot. But it's the principle of just the difference here. There's mutual aggression in other sports. With this guy, it's off the hinge aggression when someone dishes out nothing more than he has already dished out and no one gave aggression to him about it. That's the difference. I just don't understand. And again, don't get lost in the sauce of everything here, thinking like CM Punk is the biggest problem. Tony Khan is the biggest problem. Like I said with some guy last night, that he needs to just hire a GM. Tony Khan needs to stick to the creative and hire a GM. And again, when I was talking with this guy last night, like Tony Khan comes from the world of professional sports, a professional soccer team and a professional NFL team. Like he understands how the GM ownership process works. I mean, unless you work for the Dallas Cowboys, and the GM and the owner are always the same thing. But he has to fully understand that there's the GM or the coach that handles discipline, and the owner takes care of the ownership shit. Stick to the ownership shit. Stick to the creative directional shit, and get a strong GM that people don't want to pop off to, that people will accept the authority of. But again, Tony doesn't want to give away that power of saying like, this GM's gonna suspend a guy right before a big pay-per-view or something like that. Like, okay, I understand that, but again, you suck ass at being the disciplinarian, Tony. It's a shame because this company has got such a good goddamn thing going. They just put 81,000 butts in the seat, set the all-time paid attendance record of any wrestling show outside of North Korea that didn't have a single paid attendant, but they had more people in the stadium, but that's a whole different story. Like, you don't think WWE took notice of that? And they're like, damn, man, this company showed us up in under 5 years of existence. And then coming out of the show, all people are talking about is Jack Perry and CM Punk. Like I can just imagine rumors have it that Samoa Joe was like totally pissed off because CM Punk was saying that he's not going to go out there, and Joe's got to be like, whoa, why are you ruining this for me? I get a big match at Wembley and you're going to have your little PMS fit that screws me over? Get your ass out to the ring. Anyways, I'll give Punk at least this much credit for at least being a company man and doing his job. Because he did go out and have what seemed to be a pretty decent match with Samoa Joe, all things considered, like not knowing what went on right before he went out to the ring. I know people are going to be like, another thing the CM Punk fans are bringing up is saying like how, oh, he was left at the airport. They didn't have a ride for him. He had to take the tunnel into town and he was lost. He was getting pictures of fans on the trains and stuff. Like, oh boy, oh, poor baby. Oh, I understand now. Here's your PMS pass. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. You didn't get a ride? Oh, that's too bad. I mean, that sucks. A company as professional as AEW should have stuff like that arranged, but they didn't. It doesn't give you a pass to be an unhinged, off the rail bitch. Anyway, CM Punk, I hope I never see you again in any wrestling that I enjoy watching, because again, I'm not going to have any wanting interest to see any sort of feud or title run or anything like that. He could hop off the rails at any moment. So what's the point of wasting my time and effort in following this guy anymore? And I don't care if you think that AEW is a locker room full of some of the most thin-skinned pussies in the wrestling business, and you worship at the altar of Jim Cornette and all that shit. The bottom line is he agitates so many people in that locker room. It's just a matter of, do you want the company to exist happily, Or just have one guy stick around and get an epic heel run out of it. Is it worth it just to have one great, you're like, they can turn this into money. Oh boy, he's such a hated guy right now. Is it worth it to have one epic heel run and create so much discontent in the locker room? Like, come on. It's just a matter of the cons grossly outweighing the pros at this point. And Tony Khan is the one person that needs to either realize that or tell his whole locker room, look, I love this guy more than life itself. He's going to be able to do whatever he wants. If you have a problem, you need to leave. Like, I would have so much more respect if Tony just said that. If Tony just said, okay, it is what it is. Okay, if you ain't down with Punk, you're out. Okay, that's Tony's MO. Fine. But he wants to appease everyone, and sometimes you just can't. Anyway, just such a it's such a disappointment. Such a disappointment. Like, I never wanted CM Punk to be a part of the company for the potential drama that it would have brought in, and here we are. And knowing what a weak tenderfoot Tony Khan was, boy, that should have been seen as such a recipe for disaster. Anyways, those of you that are CM Punk fans, give me serious reasons why it would be a good move to keep him. Like, is he seriously that much of a needle mover? Does he put that many butts in the seats? And you're going to say things like, oh, they had their first $1 million gate when he was there and all this stuff. Like, look what they did with Wembley. Without him even being known he was on the card. They already sold 60,000 plus seats before CM Punk was even confirmed to be on Collision 2 months ago. Anyway, what say you guys? I've talked long enough. That is all.